Hello there, fellow citizens of the internet. My name is Moses. You are watching this on Red Blue, and today is Wednesday, and we're just gonna be reading through some Techtober news. There's some great, huge news that's coming out. First and foremost, Apple yesterday sent out a huge invite, basically saying that there's gonna be an event next Monday. We almost know for sure that it's gonna be an announcement of the M1, M1X, M2 for the professional MacBook Pro lineup. So the 14-inch and perhaps even the 16-inch MacBook Pros. So we're just gonna jump right into the very first news for the day, which is obviously, let me get rid of this crazy stuff on my screen. Apple MacBook Pro with the 120 promotion mini LED display that's coming up next week. Now, this is according to John Prosser, who he has a pretty good reputation, right? He's been doing himself not too big of a favor in the eyes of the public because of some of his like completely messing up on the Apple Watch Series 7, having a completely new redesign. But all things considered, he has a pretty good record. So according to him and some of the sources that he has been, what he's gonna cite here, one of which is, Ross Young, who has, according to the Apple Track, which is a track website that keeps track of leakers and how accurate they are across a long period of time. So according to Ross Young, this MacBook Pro models, the 14 and the 16, are going to have the mini LED displays with promotion up to 120. Now, this is most likely going to be a variable refresh rate, kind of like on the new iPhone 13 lineup, where it's not going to be at 120 FPS at all times, right? It's going to be if the MacBook Pro is idling still, or if you're just watching let's say if you're watching a show that's playing back at 24 frames per second, well, this screen will be refreshing at 24 FPS unless it is required to refresh at a higher rate, right? So that's one good thing, or that is a good thing there. So we can pretty much look forward to this 120 hertz here, because yeah, everything seems to indicate that it's gonna happen. And when someone asked him if this was a confirmation, oops, I did not mean to click on that. He said yes, the new 14-inch and 15 cheapers. The new 14 and the 15-inch MacBook Pros will have mini LED, and they believe it's gonna have the 120 hertz refresh rate. Now, mini LEDs are gonna be great. I think they are also on the higher end iPad Pros. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty good, pretty huge news, and chances are we're gonna be seeing this on Monday at the announcement by Apple, and hopefully we should be able to place the orders not long after that, if we're gonna use history as evidence, right? So the next one that we have here are AirPod Pros, to be specific. So kind of like these that I'm using. These are really great. I've had them for a little over a year. I've had to return them a couple of times, just because I think like the first time I was hearing an unnecessary rattle, and then the second time the noise cancellation was a little bit off. Like one ear would be on, the other one would not be on, so I had to return that one as well. But all in all, like when they're working, they work work wonders. They're so great. So with that being said, there are rumors that Apple is working on ways to effectively create AirPods hearing aids. Now, this rumor has been around for a good minute, and I think it's great because so the AirPod Pros, they have I think the AirPod 2s as well. I'm not quite sure, but the Pros for sure, they have I think they call it transparency mode. Yes, transparency mode. Let me actually double check here. I think it's transparency mode, right? If I come here, yes, transparency. And they basically allow you to hear your surroundings, and it's really good. The pass through of the ambient sound around you is really good. It almost amplifies your hearing. I mean, I have really good hearing, but the transparency mode, it's really good. So the fact that they're saying that AirPods Pros might have some sort of like in-ear hearing aid type thing, I don't think it's too far of a stretch. And according to Wall Street journals, Apple is studying ways to make these AirPods into a health device, including for enhancing hearing, reading body temperature, and monitoring posture. Now, I don't know how you can go from just a hearing aid to monitoring your posture. Like, if these are in, I suppose if they have like a barometer in there or like an accelerometer, you might be able to tell if you're sitting well. I don't know. I don't know how useful that feature is. It will be made. We will be able to judge at a more accurately once the feature gets released, if it actually gets released. Now, the source continues to say that it is not clear if Apple is developing a specific hearing aid features that are new for the AirPods or the or like a completely different lineup of devices, which kind of makes sense, right? It's like if the headphones have been quite successful, right? There's no doubt in that. And if they're I'm assuming that they're gonna be using this transparency mode. If the transparency mode is so good that they want to extend it into like a new lineup, that would make more sense for like hard of hearing people, instead of baking that feature into the headphones that are going to be mass marketed. I don't know. So and according to the, like, if you have updated to iOS 5, you will actually notice that there's this mode called Conversation Boost. If you have an iPhone and you have Apple AirPods Pros, well, it doesn't have to be an iPhone. It can be an iPad. And when you activate that mode, it makes the outer microphones even more sensitive to ambient sound than the transparency mode. So that feature already kind of alludes to some sort of like a hearing aid feature, but I would be more excited about figuring out what they mean by monitoring your was it a temperature? Yeah, like body temperature. That would be really interesting. I mean, it is in your ear canal, which is good. I mean, I think if you can't measure temperature through your mouth or armpits or other places, ear can be a good place for that. I'm not quite sure. That's certainly beyond my level of expertise, if I have any. So let's go to the next news here, which has to do with the Microsoft version 11. I am actually pretty pumped for the software, although it's kind of odd because I have a Windows-based machine that I hardly ever use. But it runs so incredibly slow, even with a GTX 1060 in it. So if you know stuff about boosting the performance of a GPU, drop the comment down below so I can like implement some of those hints on my end. But so Microsoft 11 is coming out. has been slowly being released, and AMD is having crazy issues. So let's get back into it here. So AMD is facing some issues according to Tech Power Up. That one of those issues is they're seeing like a much higher latency, and if there's like a higher latency, then that means it kind of translates into a worse performance after the Windows update yesterday. So now, if you are an early adopter of technology, you pretty much know that bugs are a must, right? Whenever you are at the forefront of technology and every new update that comes up, you jump on it before it gets tested massively over an acceptable period of time. Then you put yourself in the you increase your chances of running into issues and bugs earlier on. So I suppose that's a price worth paying for being at the forefront of trying out new technologies and new updates and new software updates, so to speak. But so the issue that they're seeing here, one is that the L3 cache latency has tripled. Now, I'm not gonna pretend to be like super smart in computer graphics and whatnot, but tripling latency, that's a significant slowdown in performance, and according to them, that's about 15% of a performance hit on video games. Like if you're playing AAA video games, I'm not really a huge gamer, but hey. And the second thing that is affecting this AMD issues, graphics, it is the AMD's preferred core technology. Basically, it shifts threads over to the fastest core on a processor. So if you're running multiple tasks, for example, the GPU will take it will transfer the workload to the fastest processor on its system, which kind of makes sense, right? You wanna transfer the hardest thing or the thing that takes the longest to the task manager that will best attack that problem, right? At the fastest rate. And AMD says that this second bug could impact performance on CPU reliant tasks. That goes without saying much there. So the patches for both the Ryzen, is that how you pronounce it? Ryzen? I say Ryzen for some reason. There's no A in it. The patches for those should be coming up before the end of the month. With software promises, if you are planning on getting something that has an AMD based processor in it and on a Windows 11 machine, I would not make the assumption that these promised patches will come within the next month. I would buy that device based on its performance today, because if, let's say, a month goes by and the problem to patch this is a bit harder than initially anticipated, you might be in a world of hurt. So the preferred core patch will be addressed by AMD by an AMD driver. I need to learn how to read even faster, which is expected to be delivered later this month and will hopefully be available on Windows Update as soon as it gets released. Now, how often are these massive updates done? Not that often, but if an entire chip manufacturer is facing an issue, chances are that's going to be a strong enough reason for both AMD and Microsoft to work on this particular patch both patches as fast as they can, because it is obviously there are so many devices out there that are dependent on a good performance from both Microsoft and AMD, that it's in the best interest of both companies to come up with an appropriate solution as fast as possible. Okay, on to the next one, HTC. So I'm not a huge, I don't think I've ever owned anything made by HTC, right? But there's been a leak, and I'm excited for this one, right? Because it untethers this headset world from having to be hooked onto your phone or your laptop. Oops. And it's just the glasses. You don't have to have all kinds of different things attached to it. So let's read into it. Where am I? Let's read into it again. Not again, but so they're expected to launch a new VR headset within a week. I don't have one. I've never owned a VR headset, but this one is making me excited. So the Bluetooth CIG consortium previously published documents describing the Hue, which the Hue is, according to some sources, it was the internal code name for this headset, as an all-in-one product. Okay, which means that the device could be a standalone headset that doesn't need a phone or doesn't have to be tethered to a PC. Now, I don't know if this is a first. It is a first for me to hear about a VR headset that is standalone without an attachment of sorts, right? It's not like the Google Cardboard box or whatever, and some other ones that have come before that or after that. It is a standalone VR headset, and they attached some pictures on here, and honestly, they look great. They look great. Look at this. Like, you are more free to move around. You're more free to move around, and all the technology is baked into the goggles, and you don't. Now, I wonder, there's a cord there. I wonder what that goes to. Now, again, all these are rumors so far. Perhaps that's just a charging, right? Like you can carry it with you and charge it on the go whenever you want, however you want. And it might be one of those situations where you are playing, like you carry the headsets, and then it is also attached to, you carry an attachment battery case, so that you can plug it in, and in, let's say, 30 minutes of charging, you can get an hour and a half worth of content consumption. And that's another thing too. So these, according to these rumors here, it is not primarily a gaming headset, right? You might be able to play some mild games, but I believe the primary focus on this is to consume content. As it says here, the company reportedly wants to position the Vive Flow primarily as a way to consume media with some access to gaming. So gaming might be a secondary a purpose for these headphones, and media consumption, watching cat videos in in VR headspace. That would be the primary aim for these headsets, which kind of makes sense why it would be so untethered, right? Because then you do not need an external unit that's gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the video processing and whatnot, right? So if all you're doing is watching YouTube videos, you're watching TikToks and whatnot, or some VR specific videos or content, then there's not a whole lot of processing. There's not as much video processing as you would if you're playing an entire VR game. So that, I think it makes sense from that perspective. You might be able to play some sort of, like, I don't know, Candy Crush or something, some like light, low processing VR games. That would make sense from that perspective. But I'm pretty excited for that. I'm pretty excited for all these. And as far as you have probably seen a lot of YouTube videos today dropping on the review of the Apple Watch Series 7. So let me grab here. So I have the series. This is the SE series, and I think it can focus fast. Probably, yeah. This is the SE series. I've had it for a year. It works great. Honestly, it works great. I watched Marquez's review on the Series 7, and he basically said it's the same as the Series 6 with just a bigger screen, faster charging. That's pretty much it. And comparing to the SE, the difference is a couple more sensors. I think one of them being the oxygen sensor. Yeah, oxygen sensor, bigger screen, probably a faster processor. I'm not quite sure from that perspective. But this costs 200 and some bucks, 250 bucks. And if you already have an SE, or if you have an Apple Watch before the like an Apple Watch Series 3 or Series 4, you probably want to get an SE. Stick to it. You should be fine. Anyways, my name is Moses. This is the first live video that I've gone on YouTube, and I'm gonna try to do this every Wednesday. I was gonna do every Tuesday for Tech Tuesday, but I'm gonna do Wednesdays. So yeah, this is gonna be my first one. Let me know what you think about this way of creating tech videos. Just reading on some news, commenting on it, sharing my take on the different news here. And if you like this form of content, leave a like, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.